And with transference, we're bringing a... No.
Gamers. It keeps me up at night that we've been living in a world where gamers have existed for almost 60 years. And I'm a gamer, okay? I play video games. And in all this time that games have been around, the one thing that's always stayed the same is that marketing to gamers will never not be cringe.
I love anime!
And manga!
And gaming! Yeah! You shut the fuck up!
I'm talking gamer events like E3.
So, I am here to talk about Need for Speed. Payback.
Gaming products like the Xbox deodorant being the first thing to introduce gamers to hygiene, and all of those unbelievably cringe commercials.
Gamer dudes and dudettes. A lot of you game assassins seem to think that skill alone is going to get you to the victory lane as you go leaping from level to level.
That's the kind of shit we're going to be looking at today. So this is your warning now that you're going to be exposed to maybe a lethal amount of secondhand embarrassment.
Whoa, nice graphics. I'd like to get my hands on that game.
But wait, do you know what time it is? Ad time. This video is brought to you by Holzkern, a company that specializes in accessories like watches, necklaces, rings, bracelets, and earrings. If you've been watching me for a while, you know that I've been dressing like a 12-year-old for the last 10 years of my life, and the only watch I've ever worn is a Ben 10 Omnitrix that I unironically used to wear out in public and will never forgive my 10-year-old self for. And like, I totally still would now, but I do recognize that the entire female population is never going to understand my vision. So Holzkern is helping me be less embarrassing by giving me their Badass One sunglasses. And you bet that's what they're actually called. They know me so well. And their Campania necklace to make me look 50% more like all I talk about are cars and my fantasy football team. And this leadwood and marble watch that like doesn't quite fit yet, but like you bet I'm still going to be wearing it to every single social event until someone tells me how good it looks. Plus they got free worldwide shipping that gets to you within a few days, so you don't even have to wait that long to start having this much swag. And they're sponsoring me just in time to tell you about their Black Friday sale, where for a limited time, you can get up to 30% off everything on their site if you check out the link in the description right now. Thanks to Holzkern for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to some epic gamer moments. Looking back on the 80s, I love that the instant attempt at advertising to gamers was to recognize the entire gaming audience as a bunch of socially inept gooners. And like, I'm not saying they were wrong, okay? But like, you can't show Gex sexually assaulting a woman on TV, but you can show it in a magazine. And I mean, we've already got gaming magazines by this point, being read by people who you would assume like video games. I feel like that's probably a safe bet, right? So these ads were like the 80s equivalent of YouTube clickbait, where the entire strat was just to frickin' plaster a whole page with a half-naked woman, and then they might remember to put the game they're meant to be selling in like a tiny little corner if they feel like it. This era was like a lawless wasteland for advertising, where I think they could just get away with literally anything. I don't think anyone was checking this shit. In what fucking world is putting, if you don't like Duke Nukem 3D, you like men, something that a bunch of people thought was a great idea to spend actual money on? And eventually this just devolved into the entire gaming industry going on a mission to find a way to make a dick joke out of every single game ever made. Now you can play with your worm in public. Do you get it? Of course, when you're given a game like Balls, I mean, that's like half the job's already done for you. Because the Balls marketing team was having like the absolute time of their lives. Tell Santa you want balls for Christmas. Oh, you bet I will. Don't even worry about whether the game's actually good or not, okay? Shh. It was more important that you knew that Crash Bandicoot gets bitches. You needed to know that Rayman has concerningly oversized balls. Huge features. Do you get it? But when they couldn't rely on, like, basically softcore porn, their other strat was putting, like, the grossest shit you've ever seen in your entire life. You got this Frogger ad with this guy who has his dogs out. With this guy who has his frogs out. Apparently it was a selling point to tell you that a game was so good it would make you shit yourself. There's a Virtua Tennis ad that takes you inside a locker room full of sweaty, half-naked, middle-aged men. Thanks for that. And you can see this happen with like a lot of Japanese games where they obviously had just absolutely no idea how to advertise it. Like, I love this one for Goemon because it's like the most honest ad ever made. They're just like, we have no idea what it's about. Here are some women in a hot tub. Please just buy our game. And you think Nintendo, of all people, would be like a little more chill given what they're like nowadays, but no, they were like at the forefront of this shit. Mario was getting sick tats. They were promoting the GameCube by telling you that you could play it while taking a shit, which is based as hell. And for some reason, the Game Boy had, I think, like maybe the horniest marketing campaign of all time. Game Boy, more fun than a ferret down your trousers. I think most things would be. Nintendo busted out this absolute banger of a guy who's tied a woman to his bed and forced her to watch him play Sonic Advance 3. Because nothing's gonna sell me on the GBA more than the cold, lifeless eyes of my dog, knowing that he's going to starve to death because he could never be as entertaining to me as Shrek's Swamp Cart. And it wasn't just print ads. Like, all of the marketing for the Game Boy was run by, like, your creepy 58-year-old uncle that, like, your mum told you to never be alone with. They were selling Game Boy Advances with naked women, with corpses, and what I assume is the last thing you see before you die, which I think was rivaled only by the genuinely insane PS2 logo ads. What is this, Sony? Why? Why is this Sony? They also had like the white PSP ads that they maybe should have thought about the implications of for like more than 2 seconds. And sometimes, maybe, they were actually creative. The Paper Mario free demo one is an absolute banger, okay? But most of the time, it's just gonna be some dude fucking a fish. No, Sega, if you can believe it, bestiality doesn't make me want to buy your game. Come on, man. What I did kind of love about this era, though, was how, like, blatantly competitive it was. Like, it was so common to just have ads that showed off, like, the corpses of your competitors. Sony did a whole campaign around sending in a guy in a Crash Bandicoot suit to stand outside the Nintendo headquarters and violently threaten them.
Hey, plumber boy, mustache man, your worst nightmare has arrived.
I remember this one ad that pissed me off as a kid as Sonic's #1 dick rider. This freaking ad for Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, where they thought that the best way to show off that the game was going to compete with Sonic was by showing off his legally distinct corpse. In a commercial where Ty visits a hospital room with the bandaged bodies of Spyro, Crash, and Sonic, suggesting that Ty broke every single bone in their body and beat them within an inch of their lives. I think we can all agree that historically, game commercials are fucking weird, okay? Everyone knows the scary-ass PS3 baby one, that I still to this day don't understand how it's supposed to convince me to buy a PS3. But like, hey, we remember it, don't we? Every single night when I'm trying to sleep. These all kind of had the same idea as the magazine ads, where showing off the actual game wasn't as important as traumatizing the impressionable 9-year-olds watching it. I didn't need to see a man eat himself to death to sell me on Yoshi's Island, but like, you know, thanks, I guess.
Sure you don't have room for another little bonus level?
Sega had a really good thing going with their Sega Does What Nintendo Don't ad campaign, okay? That was great. I still love that shit. I'm not sure about this one that suggests the Sega Saturn is gonna suck your eyes out though, and I don't know if I'm sure about that one, guys. But you know, even with the weeks of insomnia these all gave me, at least they were trying something different, okay? And they are still so much better than the ones we get nowadays of like a bunch of actors who have never picked up a controller in their entire goddamn lives.
A new challenger approaches Pikachu.
But like, why would you make a trailer with gameplay of your game that you made, when instead you could spend a huge amount of money on dumbass marketing stunts, like Bethesda offering to pay someone to name their kid after a Skyrim character, because I'm sure ruining your kid's entire life is worth that free copy of Elder Scrolls, bro. Pretty sure they killed a goat for God of War 2. No one asked them to do that. They just did. There was a time when Nintendo held a Super Smash Bros. Wrestling match that's become lost to time because everyone was so horrified watching a guy in a Mario costume beating the shit out of Pikachu for 17 minutes that nobody thought to archive it. So now like the only remnants of it are some blurry photos that make it look like the world's shittiest creepypasta. There was this one time some guys were gonna pay people to chuck an ad for Shadow Man 2 on their dead family members' tombstones. Cause like, damn, I really miss Grandpa, but I'm not gonna lie, that game looks kind of sick though. But it's meant that it's like so much harder to get funny ones nowadays. Like, I don't know, Fortnite did like an MLK event last year that was kind of funny because everyone was super respectful of the subject matter and definitely didn't spam the whip crack emote. But none of these will ever be as good as the most goated game collab of all time, the Sonic Forces Hooters promotion. Because in Japan in 2017, you could go to the world's most conceptually outdated restaurant and gorge on chili dogs and blue Sonic piss water, while the most pissed off cardboard cutout of Sonic silently judged you, which actually still isn't the most disgusting looking Sonic food I've ever seen, somehow. And the girls would have to dance to fist bump if you asked them to, and were also the worst person ever. So we've gone through all of this without talking about what I think is still the worst of video game advertising, which came from everyone's favorite annual 4-hour cringe compilation. I never really bothered to watch E3 when it was still around. Rest in peace. I think I watched the Game Awards like a single time, and it was like genuinely like in the top 10 worst experiences of my entire life. Because it was hours of the least funny skits and performances that literally no one has ever asked for, but they keep doing every single year for a reason known only to that sadistic fuck Jeff Keighley.
Oh, cool, I won. Oh, thanks, everybody. Guess I'm gonna go drink my own pee now.
I mean, yeah, the one actual game announcement sandwiched between all of the Fortnite and anti-vaping ads was cool, but come on, I think the real reason anyone watched E3 was to watch million-dollar corporations present with the same production value of my oral presentations in the 3rd grade. I don't know why it was like a contractual obligation that like every presenter had to be injected with as much caffeine as the human body could possibly handle. And look, I'm not saying I could go up in front of this many people and not act like a crack addict as well, okay? But I know I probably wouldn't say this shit.
It's uplifting, it's even gonna get a little sweaty. It's hella fucking smoky. Apparently it's 420 in this bitch.
But they really wanted you to take these events super seriously, so they make them look really high profile and corporate, but not enough to the point that they can afford anything other than a PNG of Idris Elba. And it always made me wonder why they always insisted on doing like these live demos of games where shit constantly went wrong instead of just showing a trailer. But you know, I think we're all glad they did.
You ever wonder what the bottom of an Avatar shoe looks like? Well, bam! There it is.
So like, can you even blame them that like 90% of what they show at these events nowadays just ends up being some pre-rendered bullshit, when the times when they were actually honest and showed like an actual live demo, you ended up with the absolute train wreck that was like the first time the world was graced with Wii music. You know what, at least they're showing the game, okay? Get that fucking dancing panda off the stage. But now E3 is gone, and we'll never have special moments like this ever again.
But I have one more thing to announce. Coming this year, Peggle 2!
Like, the Game Awards just aren't the same, man. They're like almost kind of well put together sometimes.
Thank you very much, guys. Great announcement. All right, awesome. Thanks, nigga.
Anyway, this video was a bit of a mess, but I hope you guys enjoyed it anyway. I don't talk about games as much as I do movies, because I've played like one game this year, and it's been frickin' Shadow Generations, but I hope you guys enjoyed it anyway. And wow, we've only got 2 more videos for the rest of the year. That went quick, damn.